Okay, well, this is some review to go along with section 6.2 or lesson 6.2. And we're talking about percents here. And here, for numbers 4 through 15, we're just telling which number is greater. But they're giving us the numbers in two different forms. So the first one, 0.9 and 95%. And I know a lot of these we'll be able to just look at and say, oh, I totally know which one is the greater of the numbers, but put them into a common form. I like decimal form, so I'm going to go with decimal form. This is the same as 0.9 because it is 0.9. And remember, when you go from percent to decimal, you move that decimal back two places, so this would be 0.95. And to make it even easier, I'm going to annex a 0 here. Okay, I've got 90 hundredths, 95 hundredths. So obviously 95 cents is bigger than 90 cents. So I'm going to go back up here. That is the larger of the two numbers. And maybe you knew that, and maybe you didn't, but put them into a common form. So now I have 20% and 0.02. Again, I'm going to decimal, so this is 0.02. This would be 0.20. And just so that they're the same, I'm going to put a 0 out in front here too. 0.20, 0.02. Well, they're both made up of zeros and twos, but 20 cents is bigger than 2 cents. So 20% is the larger of the two. Number 6. We have 37 over 50. Oh, the dreaded fraction, fraction, and 37%. Well, we'll go both into fractions this time. So this is still 37 over 50, of course. This, remember, 37%, percent literally means per hundred. So this is 37 per hundred or 37 hundredths. Not a common denominator yet. We could probably make a good decision here just because it has the same numerator, but I like to go common denominator. So a good common denominator would be 100. This stays 37 over 100. To turn 50 into 100, we multiply by 2. So we multiply 37 by 2 to get 74. Well, which is bigger, 74 hundredths or 37 hundredths? 74 hundredths, of course. So we'll go back up here and circle 37 fiftieths. For number 7, we have 50% and we have 13 25ths. Well, we'll go into fractions again. 50% is 50 out of 100. And I can turn 25 into 100 by multiplying by 4, which I will do. Multiply the top by 4, and I get 52. Wow, these are pretty close, but 52 out of 100 is more than 50 out of 100. So 13 25ths is bigger than 50%. You might have known that because 13 is slightly more than half of 25. And 50% means exactly 1/2. So we could have made a decision right off the bat. Number 8. We have 0.086 and 86%. Yay! We can just go decimals and don't need a fraction. So 0.086, and moving the decimal two places would make this 0.86. That's pretty easy to decide which one's bigger, but I do like to annex a 0 so they both go 3 numbers behind the decimal. This is 86 thousandths. This is 860 thousandths. You can just look to the first number behind the decimal. That's where you make your decision before you look at everything else. Kind of like when we alphabetize a word. You just go one letter at a time. So this has 0 tenths and this has 8 tenths. No matter what happens after that, this number is already larger. Number 9, 76% and 0.67. So turning this into a decimal, 0.76, 0.67. We have 76 cents and 67 cents. Neither of them are a lot of money, but this is more money. I think back in the day, you could probably buy property and a vehicle for 76 cents. But that's like way back in the day. So here we have 60% and 5/8. Well, this is pretty ugly, but we will go, I guess we'll go fractions. So 5/8 will stay 5/8 for a moment here. This will be 60 over 100. And now, let's try to find a common denominator. One thing that I would do to find a common denominator is I would simplify this one first. 60 over 100. I know that 20 goes into both 60 and 100. This is the same as 3/5. We still have 5/8 over here. Now when I look at 5 and 8, I can find a common denominator of 40. 5 times 8 is 40. 3 times 8 is 24. 8 times 5 is 40. 5 times 5 is 25. Yikes, are these numbers close? This one is 25/40ths, and this one is 24/40ths. But 25/40ths is larger, so we go up here, and that means 5/8 was the greater of the two. For number 11, we have 0.12 and 1.2%. Turning them both into decimals, move it 2 places. Remember, always 2 places, 0.12 behind the decimal here, 0.012. I will annex a 0 here so they both go 3 places, but we could pretty easily see that 120 thousandths is bigger than 12 thousandths, or just looking 1 place behind the decimal, 1 is bigger than 0, so 0.12 is the greater. Scooping all the way down here, number 12. On number 12, we have 17%, and we have 4/25. Well, 17% is the same as 17 per 100. And if I multiply top and bottom by 4 here, I get 16 over 100. So they did make them close, but 17 over 100 is greater, so 17% is the greater of the two. Number 13, 140%. And 0.14. Now, quickly, I can tell 140% is greater than one whole thing, and 0.14 is less than one whole thing. So we could just automatically say that, but I do like to put them in the same form. We'll go decimal. This is 1.40. We move that decimal exactly 2 places. We'll put it right there. This is 0.14. So we go to the first digit. It's the ones place. This has a 1. This has a 0, so we can make our decision there. The 140 is greater. Number 14, we have 1/3, and we have 30%. Well, 30% is the same as 30 out of 100. This is 1/3, of course. Simplifying 30 out of 100 is 3/10. And this is still 1/3. And now to find a common denominator, 30 works very well. So we'll make this out of 30, make this out of 30. Multiply by 10, so multiply by 10 and get 10/30ths. Multiply by 3 and get 9/30ths. Well, 10/30ths is greater than 9/30ths, so we go back up here, and 1/3 is greater than 30%. Finally, number 15, 80% and 7/9. Well, we'll turn them into fractions. This is 80 over 100, which simplifies to 4/5. 20 goes into both of those. And now a common denominator would be 45. 5 times 9 is 45. 4 times 9 is 36. 9 times 5 is 45. 7 times 5 is 35. 36 out of 45 is greater than 35 out of 45. So 36/45 is bigger, 80% is bigger. Then I would like to look at a couple of these next problems, like number 16. It says, use a number line to order the numbers from least to greatest. Well, we're not going to use a number line, but I am going to turn all of these, 38%, 8/25, and 0.41, all into a common representation. And a good common representation here, I think, would be decimal. So let's keep this a decimal. There we go. Oops. But you cannot just change the number willy-nilly like I tried to do. This 38% is 0.38. We know that. And here, 8/25. Well, I'm going to try to get this over 100. And I can do that easily enough by multiplying top and bottom by 4, which would give me 32/100. It's not quite a decimal yet, but that's pretty easy to turn into a decimal. I did it again. I really want to make that 40/100 into a 40/100. Okay. 32/100 is the same as 0.32, which we call 32/100. Oh, that's convenient. Well, now we can turn these, or put them in order from least to greatest. So just looking at these as money, this is 32 cents, so that comes first. Now I'm not putting 32 cents first. I'm going to go back up here to what we started with, which was 8/25. So I'll put it over here. 8/25 is first. The next one would be 38 cents. So I go back up. That's 38%. And then finally, the 41/100 is the largest. So I put that last point, or 0.41. Make sure I get a 1 on there. Excellent. So that's how you put those in order from least to greatest. I'll just do one more of those. Number 17. And it is 68%. 0.63 and 13/20. Now, if these, well, I'll get to it in a second. So putting them into decimal form again, this would be 0.68. This is 0.63. And here, easily made into 100 again. If we could not easily make it into a 10 or 100 or 1,000, then you do, to turn a fraction into a decimal, top divided by bottom, which means the top goes in the box. Thankfully, though, if I multiply top and bottom by 5 here, I get 65/100. So I can turn these all into decimals easily now. It's 0.68, 0.63, 0.65. Going from least to greatest, the 63 cents or 63/100 would be the smallest. So I'll put that over here. 0.63 is what they had up here. Next would be the 0.65. So we go up here. Oh, that was our 13/20. And then finally, the greatest one is the 68 cents, which would go up here. 68%. 68%. So that's how we would, instead of just comparing two things, is to order three things. And they did them from least to greatest here for us. So we find a common representation. I like going decimal form. Sometimes you'll go into a different form if it's easier, but decimals is usually the easiest for me. And then I make my decision based on their decimal representation. When I put them in order, I make sure I put their original form in the order. Excellent. Now do go over and check out journal page, the video for journal page 120. Have a great day.